And good evening, everybody. We are back. Welcome to the latest edition of You Get What You Get. I'm Ricky Hampton with my great friends Tim Turner and Tree McDougal. I hope everybody's having a great evening. We've had some technical difficulties to the point where we had to cancel our guest for the evening, uh, our great friend Larry Lee, former NFL player and executive. And I'm really disappointed about that, guys, because Larry knows the game. He's been around the game his whole life in several different leagues. Uh, Played for Don Shula, played with John Elway and Marino and just all the legends of the game. But we will get him back. And until we get him back, we'll just keep pushing forward and talk about some of the issues of the day. And I wanted to start with the NFL, but since Larry's not here, let's start with what's going on with college football, guys. And I guess the big story this week is no doubt the big story is the first college football playoff selection show. And Tim, as a longtime reporter, you'll get a kick out of this. The college football playoff director, Rich Clark, is fuming because the fact that the note that SMU SMU got the final uh, playoff position over Alabama was leaked 30 minutes before it went on the air.
Yeah, but I keep wondering who did he leak it to? Because I watched the selection show and they pretended to be clueless. They said the only person that knew who the teams were the was
They
the guy
did.
who put the graphic together.
They did. They did. But Twitter knew Tree before they knew on uh, on the air because the reporter, let's get this guy his props. Brett Murphy, longtime reporter, wrote for ESPN and several other outlets over the years, scooped it saying SMU was going to get the nod over Alabama. And as a journalist, that's you always try to be first, and you damn sure want to be correct. And Brett was on top of this in both cases.
That's awesome. Good,
Yeah,
good,
that's good reporting.
good on him.
That is absolutely good reporting. But Tim, you got thoughts on the selection of the 12 teams?
Oh yeah, you know I do. SMU doesn't belong in there, nor does Boise, nor does Arizona State. These fake conferences with these fake teams do not belong in there. Guaranteeing these folks automatic bids is just wrong. This reminds me of SMU is going to get mollywopped by either,
They got Penn State in the
Penn
first
State.
round.
Yeah, they're going to get mollywopped by Penn State. It's going to be like, I know, two examples I use. One year, because Notre Dame is not in the conference. They're in everything every year. They should never be anything until they go fully into the ACC or go hide somewhere. Notre Dame is notoriously getting over on everybody every year.
Hey, man, that's Notre Dame, man.
A couple of years ago, it's like 4 or 5 years ago. I heard Mike Golick on the show when he and Greenberg had it on ESPN saying, well, they're only playing the team that's on their schedule. I'm like, right. And you got a weak schedule. And I had predicted that when they played Alabama down in Miami, that game would be, they'd lose by 35 points. Alabama had 28 points in the first quarter. And had the quarter lasted 3 more minutes, it'd have been 35-0 because Alabama was inside the 20 going into the second quarter. TCU, I got into an argument with a TCU person a couple of years ago because they said they were great because they were undefeated or whatever they were. And I was like, Georgia's going to destroy you. And this person was swore up and down that because they played good ball in the Big 12, and what was that? Georgia scored like 63 to what something to them, but they got an automatic bid because they were conference champ. South Carolina is better than SMU. Alabama's much better than SMU. There are some teams that just got left out. Miami is better than SMU. But when you lose late into the wrong people, Alabama 3-touchdown favorite over Oklahoma, getting beat by them and losing to Vanderbilt, that hurts. Miami losing to Georgia Tech and Syracuse down the stretch, that hurt them. I just don't believe these teams they should be given automatic berths to these people. There's no more strength of schedule. Ole Miss would beat SMU. Ole Miss played SMU 17 times and beat them 17 times.
Absolutely. Ole Miss and Alabama are better than SMU, Boise, Penn State.
Yeah.
Ole Miss would run Penn State can't run them out of the gym, and Indiana as well.
Well, yeah, Indiana, because I'm thinking Georgia has the easiest, even without their starting quarterback, Georgia has the easiest route to the championship. Because they play the winner of the Notre Dame Indiana game. Both of them are garbage. So they win that game, and I don't know who they played next in the
They're going to play the winner of okay, well, let's just break down the brackets. First round games, Saturday the 21st, SMU goes to Penn State, and the winner there plays Boise State. At the bottom of that bracket, as you mentioned, is Indiana and Notre Dame, with the winner playing Georgia. On the other side of it, you have Clemson playing Texas, and at Texas, all these games are on the 21st.
Right.
And Tennessee goes to Columbus to play in the horseshoe against Ohio State. The winner of the Clemson Texas game gets Arizona State, and the winner of the Tennessee Ohio State game gets Oregon.
I know Tree's a big Georgia fan.
Well, Trey, you're going to have a lot to cheer about, because even down their quarterback, they're going to get to the national championship game.
Can't hear you.
Georgia will get to the national championship game.
Tree, I can't hear Tree at all.
Trey, we can't hear you for some reason. She's not on mute. I don't know. I don't know. Live stream. Poor Tree.
It's time back in.
But Tim, Georgia's going to get to the national. I could play
quarterback
for Georgia.
Well, it's one thing to have a quarterback, a second string quarterback, to come in for a little bit, and then it's another to have him play the whole game.
But he's got some time to prepare this time too. They got a great coach. Kirby Smart is going to give him what he can. He's going to have him play to his strengths, whatever that is. I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, the kid he's like Arch Manning he's a threat to run all the time. That wasn't really the case with Beck. Beck, from what we understand, has some sort of a UCL elbow injury that he's looking at, all these different doctors for to help him play, because the rumor out yesterday was he was definitely out throughout the playoffs, but the Georgia coach isn't saying that. So I mean, there's a glimmer of hope there for that. It looks like it'll be Georgia and maybe Oregon. Oregon has the hardest, and I think that was unfair to give a team that's a number one seed a really tough way to go all the way through. I mean, they earned the number one spot. As much as I don't personally care for Landon, because I don't like how he played Dion when they were out there and leading up to that game and all the smack that he talked. He has a great team. He's a great coach with a great team. I think that they didn't do them right by how they have them bracketed.
Right,
Well, they
because
play the winner of the
they're
Ohio
gonna
State Tennessee game.
they're gonna have
I
their
mean,
hands full with the winner of this Tennessee Ohio State game. For
absolutely,
sure. For
absolutely. And
sure.
Ohio State to me doesn't belong. So I
Well,
mean,
I think Ohio State's probably the only legitimate Big Ten team. Uh,
well, you're talking about old school legitimate Big Ten team because you got Oregon as your champion.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
right. Yeah,
that is
and that's what I was telling you the other day. The way Oregon came in and dominated the Big Ten, that was not going to happen with Texas and the SEC, man.
well, they did dominate. Only lost twice in the SEC, and they
They
lost
lost.
twice to Georgia.
They lost. Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So
and
that,
you know how they got the brackets and stuff broken down. Um, they won't have, you know, the as it is. Georgia plays their first game, and it won't be a home game. And that was the thing. Had they lost to Texas, they'd have got a home game in the first round this weekend coming up. The next weekend coming up rather. But as it is, they'll be going to the Sugar Bowl. I thought for sure they would put them in the Peach Bowl, but Arizona State's coming here to Atlanta um, to play the winner of the Texas Clemson game, which should be really good. Clemson really came on as the season went on, and they won in a really spectacular fashion over SMU.
yeah, they
Uh,
did.
so you got to
But
give
you
it to
know,
Devil. Those guys came back.
I'm glad that Beck has at least a chance to play. Because man, when he got hit, I thought his arm was broken.
Oh yeah,
It,
yeah. When he
I
got,
thought they would
I knew he wasn't going to
have to
come back
pick.
because I'm like that had to be painful. That dude raked his arm as he was coming forward. All that you would think all that on his shoulder, but it said it was on his elbow. So I'm not a
Yeah,
doctor,
so that's good to hear,
and
man.
I didn't even see the punter get
But
hurt.
Tim,
Georgia's punter
but
went out
Tim,
and had surgery.
who did?
Georgia's punter, he got injured and had knee surgery on his plant leg. So
Wow,
they had three different holders for kicks during that game.
wow, wow! I did not know that. But Tim, what do we do? How do you fix this playoff system? If you think should the Boise States and the SMUs have their own, because those conferences are never going to be as strong as the SEC.
Well, no, and I guess they're good stories too, because the kid that's running back for Boise, people want to, got to get him in there. You couldn't leave him out. Um, it's every year somebody's gonna get left out. Whoever the number 13
Yeah,
team and number 14 team, they're
yeah,
always gonna be a gripe. Just like last year, they had four. The fifth best team should have been in the Final Four.
yeah,
Georgia. Georgia would have been in the playoffs last year had this thing been around. And they
yeah.
probably would have won it last year had this 12-team thing been around. So somebody's always going to get left out. I
Right,
remember the year Cincinnati got left out and they cried and cried and cried. The next year they went undefeated, got in the Final Four, then got mollywopped.
right,
So, being undefeated doesn't mean anything if you don't play anybody. And I think they really should take into account strength of schedule. Because if I'm a coach and strength of schedule does not matter, I'm gonna schedule every cupcake I can leading up to conference play.
right,
Because
right.
a win counts as a win.
Bro,
Alabama played a tough schedule all season long, as did Miami all
bro,
season.
you sound like Nick Saban, man. That's exactly what he was saying.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. It's like, why do that? Why put yourself through that? The SEC is tough as is. It already is tough.
Right.
So you can get two easy wins over St. Mary's School for shopping and groceries, or anybody. You get that and do that stuff. You can fix it up. You can easily fix that up. So yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah. Well,
I'm
but
really thrilled with how they got it going, how they doing it.
nonetheless, I'm going to watch every one of those games on the 21st.
Oh, I'm gonna watch every one of them because they all matter. That's why I got the list of these things, and I just spelled nobody wrong. Bowls nobody cares about
Right.
anymore because who cares who are playing in these other bowl games except for the kids that are playing. And really, the mystery to these things are who's going to opt out. And so
Yeah.
I've yet to hear that yet. I understand Jackson.
What do you think about these kids that opt out of the bowl games now?
I think the ones who are doing it are selfish. I think that they owe it to the school to play. The school has given them a platform for them to be high draft picks. They owe it to them to play in those games. I've only seen one person. I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting. I'm going to think of one guy that lost something for playing in a championship game, and I think it was the running back from Miami that blew up his knee against Ohio
Yep.
State.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was the only somebody I've seen who was really hurt for playing in these bowl games. They should all mean something to somebody. I guess coming around here, you're going to have to start putting language in your NIL deals.
I was going to say, man,
So you will not get any. You will have to forfeit your NIL money if you opt out the bowl games. Your NIL money covers every game that they play that season, whether it be 10, 11, 12. That money is only good. I mean, you have to agree to play in all the games.
yeah, I definitely get your spirit on this take, but these kids are businessmen now, and they are just looking towards their future in
I
a lot
understand.
of instances. That's why I'm really not surprised by all this talk with Bill Belichick maybe going to
North Carolina.
right. The only thing with that, I just can't see him sitting down talking to an 18-year-old kid about selling him on coming to play for him.
I can't see him going to anybody's living room, being
Right.
warm and affable. I mean, I've seen him on Manning.
But he see, we've talked about this off the air.
Yeah,
He can be.
He can be great. You see Saban on Saturday mornings. The guy's hilarious. He has a great personality. You saw none of that for the entire time he was at Alabama.
None of it.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Dower.
Belichick's the same way. And another thing, both of those guys are so freaking knowledgeable and so insightful. Why wouldn't you be like that when you coached?
Yeah. You don't have to be like that. There are people, you can have a personality and still coach. It's possible. I think Kiffin does it, although he kind of rubs people the wrong way. Harbaugh does it, kind of rubs people the wrong way. But there are coaches that can handle that and do that. I mean, Kirby doesn't seem to be a problem, although I really miss what happened at the end of the Texas-Georgia game when he was just SEC commissioner. Supposedly he slighted the commissioner or made some sort of comment to him about scheduling. But I don't know what that was about. But I think these guys can be good for football. Saban, not Saban, but Belichick, I can't see him going into a kid's room. But I understand he gave North Carolina a 400-page document on how he would coach a team or something. Either 400 or 40 pages. Either way, ain't nobody got time to read all of that. just get me out there.
But one thing you said, I also agree with. If I'm an AD, hey, I'm making some calls. Oregon, I'm sorry, but we will get you in 2040 or something.
Right.
But we're not playing you next year. So you need to go find somebody else.
We're going to go play Tennessee State. Somebody made mention of somebody opting out. One of the teams that made the tournament bought their way out of a contract with somebody who missed it. I can't think of who it was, but something like that happens. But it doesn't serve the team or school to play tough games anymore. Or no, if this is how they get rewarded, and this is how they do it, because Ole Miss was a great football team. They slipped up, and people worry about 2 and 3 loss teams, and the eye test is more so than anything else. There's nothing about SMU that was spectacular.
Yeah.
I saw them play maybe 3 times this year. Nothing about it.
Yeah. The eye test.
Yeah,
That's what I go by a lot. The eye
yeah.
test. And Alabama,
Miami and Clemson were the two best teams in the ACC. And then an outlier, Notre Dame was not one of the better teams in the ACC. You know,
Yeah.
talk about having a bad loss, losing to Northern Iowa,
Northern
Illinois.
Illinois.
You know,
yeah.
Maybe they're a different team from when they were the first part of the year.
But
But again, they never impress me. They don't ever come off as being a team that is a real threat for the national championship. To me, they're stuck in that mode of like Penn State. They're good, but they're not that good. They'll always be right there. They're not really the next step team, anything like that. Just like playing LSU. You know, LSU is good, but they're not that good.
That's a lot of branding with Notre Dame, obviously.
I mean, I looked, I was thinking about it. I said, who do they comparable with? They are the Cowboys of college football. They just have a name and don't win nothing ever. So
that's a very good one, man.
So I'm just like, dang, you know.
That is a very good one. Hey, but let's keep moving, man. And I gotta say I'm with you on a lot of that about the playoff system. We got a Celebration Bowl. That you say games don't matter, people. There will be people that care about this game.
Oh yeah, that's one. That's the one bowl because that's the HBCU championship.
Yeah,
and you're gonna have a lot of folk coming for that. It's in Atlanta. It's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and so people are gonna be all over that on the Celebration Bowl. You got a really great team out of South Carolina State, out of the MEAC, and then Jackson State, which looked really great against Southern this past weekend to win the SWAC championship. So I mean, they're still rolling. Deion did not leave the cupboards bare at Jackson State. They're a fine football team, and I think they're ranked 18 in the top 25, and Southern's ranked number 20. I mean, South Carolina State is ranked 20, so it should be a pretty good squad, pretty good game right there. And and just the pageantry surrounding it as well, because they're going to have that Battle of the Bands for I guess the FCS level and the D2 level Battle of the Bands. So that Friday before, it'll be really live here in Atlanta. It's in addition to what
do you think the attendance is going to be? What would you estimate?
That place, I mean, I think it's going to be around 30,000. Just for the mere fact that people, I mean, Orangeburg is nowhere from here, from Atlanta, and the Jackson State folks, they come here for this game. I remember the last time, I guess it could have been because of the Deion effect, but I work at the airport. I saw a lot of blue and white and gray in the airport flying in on that Thursday and that Friday. And so I think that they got enough people to, they still have that fandom over there at Jackson State.
Yeah. Yeah, they have always traveled well. And congratulations to Willie Simmons, the former FAMU coach, is the new head coach at Florida International University.
That would surprise me a little bit because I know he wanted to get that kind of gig, and that's what he did when he left FAMU. That was his objective, was to get a D1 coaching job, and he got one there. And then he couldn't find one, and he found himself being I think the running back coach at Duke. Is that what I think that's what happened?
That's what he did.
The Blue Devils went 9-3, and
he left his head coach job at FAM to take a running back's job position, coach position at LSU.
And I think it's the money is what the deal is, because it's like a running back coach in a major program makes far more than a head coach at a HBCU.
Yeah.
And there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then again, it's
always a money thing, and we'll talk about that before we get out of here tonight. The comments Gramblin's women's basketball coach Courtney Simmons had, but so now you had Willie Jeffries was the first,
right,
and Deion, and you also mentioned another guy that went from HBCU to a FBS school.
Is it, I know Jeffries and Dion, because Jeffries was he at Wichita State or something
Right.
like that?
That was
Okay,
in the 70s. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
I hope they don't do them like they do the brothers of the NFL. Have one bad season and you're gonna be into oblivion.
See you
Even though
later.
you're still coach, because I think the Denver defensive guy, Joseph, was the head coach for 1 year. And it's weird that he's still in Denver as a defensive coordinator. And I thought
And
that was strange.
Tim, and to you mentioned that if you were Thomas Brown in Chicago, and I guess he had no choice but to take that job as the interim coach of the Bears
Well, yeah, I
because
mean,
he was the offensive coordinator
right.
and the head coach goes. I guess you gotta take that, but bro, that was such a sinking ship, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, it is, and it's not like they're gonna get any better. And I think that no matter what he does, he's not gonna get the gig full time. And I think that's the same thing that happened here. The first go round, Raheem Morris should have gotten the Falcons job the first time around because they played appreciably better under him. But when you have that interim tag on you, rarely, I think, in the NFL, do you get to keep it as permanent. It's always
Yeah.
a search. I always want to hear a different voice in the room, that kind of thing. And that's disheartening, especially if that's the only opportunity you're going to get.
Yeah, because you really can't. You can't say no.
No, you can't
You
put your
can't say
stamp on it.
because
You can't
what you
say
really
no.
want to say, no, bro, you can keep this because this ship is going down.
Yeah, the ship should be sinking, as they say. Uh, and I'm thinking of New Orleans, the same situation. They got a guy saying there's an interim, and he's got a bad football team this year, and he's a good coach. But these guys, these are livelihoods people are talking about. Folks,
Yeah,
trying to put their best foot forward, and the players seemingly don't realize that. Guys who are just taking successes and taking these games for granted. I think case in point, the 6-7 Atlanta Falcons, who at one point were 6-3 and had a 2-game lead in their division, are now tied with Tampa in the NFC South. And they got 3 games coming up. I mean, they got a game with the Raiders, Washington, the Giants, and Carolina. They got 4 games left. So they're all winnable games, but they should have never come to this. Their
yeah. I
quarterback,
watched them the other day. Tim, that game was 21-21.
right? And then they fumbled a kickoff, and then something else happened that was crazy. I forget what it was, but um,
Is
uh,
it time for Michael Penix? You see him every week.
I've said it long ago. Last month, Kirk Cousins, I'm going to use 4 games. Last month he threw, was even including Sunday. The last 4 games, no touchdown passes, 8 interceptions. Now, not all the interceptions were on him. The Falcons have the worst tight end in the NFL for a first round pick.
Oh, I was
Kyle
gonna
Pitts
say now.
is awful. The guy doesn't hustle. He don't block. He don't do nothing out there. To me, it seems like he doesn't give a hard effort on a lot of plays. And maybe the Falcons feel different, but they play a lot of 2 tight ends because the other guy Warner will block, and it doesn't seem like Pitts. I mean, with the interception the Cat had for Minnesota with one hand, it didn't seem like there was much effort from number 8 to try to make a play on the
Yeah,
ball
I
or
saw
stop the guy.
the one Murphy intercepted
Yeah,
there.
that was bothersome, and I've seen too many plays like that where it seemed like he wasn't giving max effort.
Do,
So
do, do, but do you think something? Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles tendon. He's 35 years old. Is he just done now?
oh, I think he is because I mean, just watching him throw the past 3 weeks, his arm is the weakest arm quarterback I've seen anywhere. He can't afford to throw balls
He's
across
never had
the field.
that wasn't his thing though. A rocket arm now.
Well, he need to be accurate with these throws.
That
Now he
was
throws those bad boys in there into these tight windows, and he has talented receivers in London out there, and some of the other cats that are out there on the receiving end. They're just good guys. They can catch the ball, but like sometimes he forces it, and I think he's pressing because everybody keeps running back. Forget the contract, forget how much money he's being paid.
Right.
It's all about winning. It's winning time. And Penix, I think, would be a radical change. He can run, he can throw. He has arm talent off the charts.
Yeah.
But I think as
Yeah.
long as they're in the playoff hunt, which they're going to be because the NFC South is trash, they're going to stick with
Well,
their.
I throw him on in there, man. Let's see what you got, because I think Curtis hit the wall, man.
It seemed
But,
like he
but
did.
but let me tell you, he's in the Hall of Fame for NFL contracts.
Yes, he is. He is.
Man,
The dude is rolling with money.
that dude has made some money, man.
Yeah, so
My,
that you look at that is really sad stuff. But you guys, you keep winning, and so do the Vikings. They're like one game behind you, and they're keeping that heat on you. I guess are you two like 1-2 for the best record in the league? Is that what we're doing here? Or with
uh,
Philly up there with you as well?
Philly's 11-2.
Right,
The Vikings are 11-2,
right.
and I think what's Kansas City? They're 11-2 in the,
I
but
mean,
they're
in
of
the
course,
NFC, I'm talking about those.
yeah. But I'm thinking overall, I think
Yeah.
they're 11-2 also. No,
Mhm.
they're 12-1, like the Lions, 12-1. But of course, they're in the AFC. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're the luckiest team
Vikings,
in
man,
football right now.
they got Sam Darnold, but even that, I watched that game. The first touchdown pass, he threw a fly ball, man. The DB didn't know what a ball was.
Yeah, and another cat fell down, and he looked horrible.
I'm
Like,
like,
oh my
dude,
gosh, how do these people get wide open like that?
right. You are defending that goal back there, aren't you?
I mean, it was a joke. It was like they showed a clip of bad plays from Sunday, and it's like, man, they should have just showed the whole second half of the Falcon game. That was just awful. And it's one thing to be griping and complaining when you're losing, but when you're winning, oh my gosh, what's going on in Philly with AJ Brown and Hurt?
Well, they used to be friends, man.
Used to be.
Gosh,
That kind of stuff right there. It's like, dude, y'all have only lost like one game or two games, and you worried about targets and getting the ball and numbers, and like y'all are winning.
yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this where you just have an embarrassment of riches and get so used to winning. Come over here to the dark side, where you don't where winning is rare, and then you won't be complaining about who gets the ball or who gets the credit. That's just madness to me, man.
Yeah, but these are athletes today, man, at all levels. My son coaches junior college basketball, and you'd be surprised at some of the stuff these kids are thinking about after a victory.
Thinking about after a victory, what do they think about after a victory?
Crying. I only played 15 minutes, only scored 5 points. Yeah, I get that, but those 5 points were important because we won by 6.
What about six?
Right.
Yo, that's just
Right.
crazy.
We won by 3. Your 5 points got us over the hump. But
They
but
don't
but
see the
Tim,
big
but
picture.
Tim, all this, it's no doubt, all this is driven by money.
Yeah, and I know these people were talking about, and it's coming back to me now about loyalty and that kind of thing. It's like loyalty is a two-way street. I get that, but I think sometimes when you are in a situation where something good is happening, I think it's wrong for you to leave. And I put it this, I'm thinking about and I can't think of the kid's name. This kid, the last 2 years is a receiver for Georgia Tech. Last 2 years has been outstanding for them. In that game where they played 8 overtimes against Georgia, it
That
was
was a
just
great
classic.
game. That was the
So,
best game of the year. That
oh,
was the best game
absolutely.
yet.
So, but I'm just like, Georgia Tech is on the come up. Okay, they're about to do something over there. This cat puts himself in the portal
Right.
And his number one destination supposedly is Georgia.
Wow.
How do you do that?
The
How
team
do you
that
do that?
you just went 8 OTs with?
Yeah, against them and said, I guess if I can't beat him in 8 OTs, I'm gonna join them. That just doesn't seem right. I mean, it's like you're letting your teammates down who you're left. Like there's a lot invested in that. I get it. Everybody wants to be paid. And then I guess the NIL money is sweeter at Georgia than it is at Georgia Tech, which is really crazy to me because right across the street, literally on the campus, football stadium, street, world headquarters for Coca-Cola.
Right.
It's
Right.
right
You
there.
can't get these guys in. Right.
So, get the NIL, but there's so many Fortune 500 companies here in Atlanta. And, there's got to be a way um, to make a difference there. Tech is going to be something to reckon with in the ACC. It's not just beating Miami the last 2 years. They're going to be up and up. I think it's Tech, Clemson, and Miami will be the teams that be riding high unless Belichick comes and revitalizes North Carolina.
But Tim, where does this end, man? I've asked you this before. Where does this end?
There is no end to it because now they let these cats are being paid. They're professionals now. They're essentially employees who are not. And I don't know how they account for this on these W-2s come tax time. I just think it's not in the best interest of the sport to have these things go unchecked and unfettered. They have to have some sort of salary cap like they do in football, that kind of thing, because the rich are gonna get richer, just like in baseball. Juan Soto.
Ooh, Juan Soto, my
Oh my
God.
God. Juan Soto,
I'm getting my grandbabies
765 million for what? For 15 years?
15 years. Yeah.
And he got a $75 million signing bonus. That
Yeah.
right there, that is money. That is a check cut for $75 million in the bank.
Straight up. I'm getting my grandkids a baseball bat and a glove, man.
There was some some running back, I think for the Chargers, or somebody wrote on IG that said, he said, instead of me learning how to hit the hole, I should have learned how to hit the ball.
It was this guy a few years ago. I think Calvin Johnson made $100 million over his career.
Right.
One of his teammates from Notre Dame, football teammates, went to the big leagues, and I think he's still in the big leagues. And he's made like $400 million.
Right.
He's not a tenth of the athlete that Calvin Johnson was.
Most of these cats in Major League Baseball are millionaires, and that money in baseball is guaranteed.
It's guaranteed.
That's the thing about it. That sport right there, guaranteed contracts. Okay, so Max Fried got broke off today by the Yankees. He's no
8
longer
years.
free. You got an 8-year deal. The guy's 30, and so the contract ends when he's 38. He's already injury prone. So what's that gonna be like? Soto, the last 10 years of his career, he's gonna be like Albert Pujols. I think with a contract like that, he won't be playing in the field in 15 years. I mean, he's already a lousy outfielder.
Yeah.
So, they're paying him for his bat. They overspent for that guy. He wasn't even the best player in the National League, in the American League. His teammate was. Aaron Judge was the MVP.
$765 million.
Right.
Bruh. I mean, but Tim, you mentioned Oregon winning the Big Ten. I kind of forgot, but yeah, they're a Big Ten school. And it's the money. It's the money.
It's absolutely.
Money. It's the money.
UCLA and USC should not be in the Big Ten. I was watching a Big Ten game with Southern Cal playing at Maryland. That is just wrong. Yeah. It's just wrong.
It's wrong. That is so freaking wrong. I mean, because look, at least Texas and Oklahoma, that is somewhat Southern football there.
It's the South something.
Yeah. It's somewhat. Oregon is on the freaking West Coast. USC, they're the freaking West Coast. Didn't you tell me Cal
had a billboard in downtown Atlanta with a schedule on it? Why would that ever be a thing? I looked at it. I really thought I was about to drive off the highway. I'm like, What is this world coming to? Kids growing today are gonna flunk geography.
Hey, look, man, we got to get out of here. But
Oh,
Tim, before we go, is anybody excited about the Hawks being in the
well,
NBA Cup?
they're excited about them playing well. That's all. I mean, it's not so much about them playing in this Emirates Cup because that means nothing. But they've been really hot, and I don't know. I think they might have lost to the Nuggets on Sunday. I didn't see the score, but they won like 6 in a row before Sunday. And then and they got the Nuggets. I mean, they're at the Knicks tomorrow night, and that's always something special. In that the people in New York hate Trae Young, and Trae is a villain. So he'll be a lot of him doing his shake it, doing this stuff like this when he hit the three. Ice Trae, a lot of that foolishness in New York, and he doesn't make any bones about it. He gets on the mic and dogs him too. So it'll be interesting to see that. But they're playing in New York, so.
So maybe we have a new collective now.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
man.
it's nowhere near that. If they go a whole month without losing a game, then they can talk. They're not that there yet.
Well, man, let's get out of here, brother. But I always enjoy the conversation. I apologize to everybody with these connection problems we have tonight. Definitely want to try to get Larry back in. Maybe we can do it next week and get this problem worked out. For our great friend Tree McDougal, I'm Ricky Hampton, Tim Turner. Peace, everybody. See you next time.